Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Google Camp 2021. We are still waiting one more minute before we get started, but I just wanted to go ahead and present our speaker for this morning, Diane Pales, for Line Game Transformed. And we hope everybody has been enjoying the conference. Again, we will be moderating the chat. So if you have any questions, please feel free to enter your questions in the chat room. If you need assistance with Sched or Zoom, again, there will be tech support available. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everybody. Can you all hear me? Ms. Lyman, thumbs up or thumbs down? Okay, good. All right. Okay, got it. Okay. All right, here we go. So I'll go ahead and get started. It's 9:30. Welcome everybody to my presentation on Line Game Transformed. If you have any questions during the presentation, please feel free to put them in the chat. I'll address any questions or concerns later on as we get towards the end of the presentation. So this particular activity is adapted from Freedom Writers, the Freedom Writers Diary or the Freedom Writers movie. So if you're familiar with that movie or that book, you've seen something like this before. But before we get started, I'd like to create a poll. What is your level of experience using Jamboard? So let me know if you have no experience, some experience, you're a pro at it. Just kind of want to know where everybody's at. Good. It looks like most people have some experience, so that's good. If you have absolutely no experience, it's okay. You'll get a little bit of the basics. I'm not going to teach you how to use Jamboard per se, but if you want to stay the last couple minutes of the session, we might have some extra time so that I can show you. Okay, let's share that. There you go. So there's the results. Okay, so we're going to go quickly just into a breakout room so we can meet each other. This particular activity is good for people when they know each other. So I wanted to at least have some of you introduce each other the other sessions already, but very quickly, probably 3 minutes, 4 minutes max. Introduce yourself, share what you teach and or coach. So if you're a coach as well, share that. Where you work, how long you've been working, and one relationship or icebreaker activity you plan on doing this year. So I'm going to try to see if we can get, I do not see the breakout. Oh, here it is. Maybe like 3 or 4 people per room. So we have 21 people. Okay. All right. So I'll call you back in about 3 to 4 minutes. I'll wait for everybody to return and then I'll introduce myself. Nobody wants to leave their breakout rooms. They're having a good time.
I think you can close them and
Yeah.
force everyone back.
I think everyone's back, yeah? I think we're good. Okay. So I'll go ahead and get started. My name is Diane Hill, and I am a teacher at Paris Union High School District. I teach at Paris High School, although now I'm going to be moving to Liberty High School, a new school that's opening this school year. I teach science, biology, anatomy, physiology, AP biology, and AVID. And this particular activity is something that I've used in AVID for the past 10 years. So the objectives for you during this session is that you will be able to leave this session understanding how to implement an activity that will build a culture of empathy in your classroom. And you'll be able to experience an activity using Jamboard. In the chat, how many of you have not seen the Freedom Writers movie? Not seen. So just let me know if anyone has not seen the Freedom Writers movie. Couple, okay. Alrighty, so a good number, I mean, a handful of you, so that's okay. It's been a long time. I want to say it's from, I can't remember, the 2000s, early 2000s. It is based on a teacher's life in Long Beach, California, and her experience in a classroom of her first time teaching in a classroom with very challenging students. And so in order to gain some relationships with the students during her time, she did this particular activity. So I'm going to have you all watch this. Let me know if you can hear. Or can.
Let's play a game, all right? It's a lot of fun, I promise. Look, you can either sit in your seats reading those workbooks, or you can play a game. Either way, you're in here till the bell rings. Okay. This is called the line game. I'm going to ask you a question. If that question applies to you, you step onto the line and then step back away for the next question. Easy, right? First question. How many of you have the new Snoop Dogg album? Okay, back away. Next question. How many of you have seen Boys in the Hood? Okay, next question. How many of you live in the projects? How many of you know someone, a friend or relative who was or is in juvenile hall or jail? How many of you have been in juvenile hall or jail for any length of time? Those refugee camps? You decide. How many of you know where to get drugs right now? How many of you know someone in a gang? How many of you are gang members? Okay, that was a stupid question, wasn't it? Yeah. Not allowed gang affiliations in school. I apologize for asking, my bad. Okay, now I'm going to ask a more serious question. Stand on the line if you've lost a friend to gang violence. Stay on the line if you've lost more than one friend. 3. 4 or more. Okay, I'd like us to pay respect to those people now. Wherever you are, just speak their names.
Okay, so as you can see, some of those questions got pretty deep with the students, and you don't have to do what she did with your students. I'm going to talk about what you need to consider when you're thinking about doing this activity with your students. You can take it as superficial or as deep as you want. And as I was watching this clip again for probably the 100th time, I think about our students coming back to school this year, and they're going to need a lot of time and space and opportunities to share how they're feeling. And so this might be something you might want to consider doing sometime during the school year. So why do this activity? I mean, primarily you want to strengthen your relationships between your students so that they work better together, they understand each other. And of course, you're strengthening your relationship with your students, between you and your students. Students come to realize that they share many common experiences, especially if you're teaching middle school or high school. Our students, they feel like they're the only person going through the thing that they're going through. And they really don't understand, even the people in class, even their best friends, sometimes they don't know that their friends are going through the same experiences because they don't know how to have conversations yet. They don't know how to be good, conversationalists and have good discussion. So this is a social emotional lesson that focuses on a culture of empathy. So building that capability within students to understand how other people feel. And it's not always all about them, and that they can relate to people. And then I like to use it as a culminating activity at the end of the semester after students have been in the classroom for some months or worked together for a long period of time. So I don't do this. Let me reiterate this. I don't do this at the beginning of the school year. So the setup that you would need to go through is, number one, is prepare your list of questions. And you heard a lot of the questions that Ms. Gruel asked of the students in that video clip. I don't ask all those same questions. You're gonna come up with your own, and I do have a resource for you linked in this Google presentation, so you can look at that. You need to consider the following things. You need to know your students. So you need to know how they already operate with each other in the classroom. Is there a lot of tension? Is there lightheartedness? Is there a lot of respect for each other? And so that helps you to decide what kind of questions you might use in your activity. If you choose to select questions that might touch on some really deep emotional topics, you have to consider, is this going to re-traumatize them? So if you already know something about your student, you may or may not want to incorporate it. It's really up to you. You have to make that call. And then think about the current state of society. There's so much discussions about social justice, about COVID, about going back to school, how they feel about the police. And so you have to think, what if you're going to bring in topics that could lead to deeper discussion, just be ready for that. Down. So you might want to consider giving your school counselors a heads up about the activity that you're doing. If you have a mental health specialists on campus, just letting them know this is something you might that you're doing that day, and if anything comes up, they might be getting a student to talk to. You'll need to set up your Jamboard, and you'll need to enable editing. I've created a Jamboard template for all of you that I've linked in there. It'll force the copy for you, so it's already set up. The only thing that I think you would need to do is enable editing rights. So when you share it with your students, just make sure they have editing rights, similar to a Google Doc. And then you want to give students guidelines about the activity. You want to tell them that what they learn in the class is stays in the classroom. Kind of like what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. It stays there. They can't share what they learn with other people outside. It's a non-talking activity, so there's no talking. You can't start discussing a statement or a question that comes up until after. And make sure you allow students who don't feel comfortable opportunity to leave. So you might want to give them a little overview of what you're going to do. You're going to be asking some questions, and it might be personal. If you feel like you don't want to participate, you're free to leave for about 15 or 20 minutes, and then we'll have you come back in. And then always finish the activity with a reflective piece, because it gives the students the time to debrief and decompress, and to kind of think about how to move forward from that moment in time, and how they might want to apply it to their relationships in their class. Okay, so this is the Jamboard setup, and you will all be participating in just a few minutes. You are going to be my students, and we are going to be doing the line game. So if you're in your regular classroom, you would do similar to what Ms. Gruel did. You spread out all the desks, and you put a piece of tape across the floor, and the students would stand up and move to the line as you asked a question or read a statement. But last year we were virtual, and I had Avid, and this was part of my curriculum. And so I was trying to think of a way to do this activity, and I don't know how I came up with it. Probably someone else told me, why don't you try Jamboard? And I said, yes, it's so easy. So I created a Jamboard slide, put a circle in it, and students will be allowed to come in, and they will create sticky notes with their initials, and they will move their sticky note into the circle as they agree or answer one of the questions that I posed to them. So instead of moving onto the line, students are moving their sticky note into the circle. So let me show you how to set that up really quick. And so for the students that have never done, or for the teachers that have never done a sticky note or done Jamboard, you are going to get a link in just a moment to this Jamboard activity where it says teacher practice line game. To create a sticky note, you'll need to go to the left-hand side. There's a bunch of icons. The fourth icon down is your sticky note. It creates a window. You can select different colors. I'll select green. And all I need you to do for this activity is to type your initials in it. And then hit save. Right away, you see the sticky note comes up on the left. Just click outside of that window to get rid of the sticky note box. Right away, your sticky note is going to come up. Everybody's sticky note is going to come up in the same area. So as soon as you see yours, you need to move yours off that upper left-hand corner. If you have several students in that Jamboard slide, please make sure they minimize their sticky note to as smallest they can get. That way we can fit everybody on that Jamboard slide. So Ms. Lyman, if you want to go ahead and put the link directly to the Jamboard in the chat, that would help. So some people don't have to look through the slide presentation for it. So what's going to happen is you are going to be opening another tab to the Jamboard. So you'll still be able to hear me, but you're going to be on the Jamboard slide. If you have a dual screen, if you have two monitors, you can easily navigate it, but some of you might just be on a laptop or a single screen, a single monitor desktop. You can hear me. That's fine. I'm going to delete mine. But you'll still be able to see the Jamboard. So you'll be able to see what everybody's doing when I ask the question. So we'll give everybody a chance to create your sticky note, move it to somewhere outside the circle. And then just practice making your sticky notes smaller so everybody can get in there. Oh, somebody spun theirs around. That's fun too. Yeah. Good. Just make sure your sticky notes are small. So if you click on it, then you're able to, yeah, just move it in from the corner, just so we can have room for everybody. Ms. Lyman, we had one other person just join the Zoom meeting. Make sure she has access to the Jamboard. Okay. All right. So some people I saw that there's someone has KM and they put an X or KMC. So you might have students that have the same initials, you know, that's okay. I had that happen. All right. Okay, so I have a set of questions that I'm going to, or a set of statements that I'm going to ask you, teachers. And so when you ask the students, or when you say the statement or ask the question, I always start with, move your sticky note into the circle if. So that's how I will do it. So there's a couple more people joining. I'm just waiting. Okay, perfect. Okay. Oh yeah, if you get on the circle, you're gonna start moving it. That's the only thing that happens. That's the weird thing. So just manipulate your sticky note only. All right, here we go. Move your sticky note into the circle if you are the oldest sibling in your family. Okay, go ahead and take your sticky note out. Move your sticky note into the circle if you are an only child. Oh, we have no only children. I'll say it one more time just in case someone didn't hear it. Move your sticky note into the circle if you are an only child. Okay. Move your sticky note into the circle if you are the youngest of your sibling group. Okay. All right, go ahead and take your sticky note out. Move your sticky note into the circle if you are a pet parent to more than one animal. See all the animal lovers? Okay, perfect. Okay, go ahead and move your sticky note out. Move your sticky note into the circle if you owned a cellular flip phone. I had that big brick. Nice. Okay, go ahead and move your sticky note out. All right, move your sticky note into the circle if you graduated from a college or university outside of California. Okay, all right, go ahead and move out. Move your sticky note into the circle if you have been to more than 5 countries other than the United States. More than 5 countries other than the US. See our world travelers. Okay, good. Okay, go ahead and move your sticky note out. Move your sticky note into the circle if teaching has been your only job since graduating college. Okay, go ahead and move your sticky note out. Thank you. Move your sticky note into the circle if you struggled as a high school student. Okay, thank you. You can move it out. Move your sticky note into the circle if you struggled as a college student. All right, go ahead and move yours out. Move your sticky note into the circle if you have a career that you secretly wish you would have pursued. Okay, all right, go ahead and move out. And then this is the last one. Move your sticky note into the circle if you can name the one teacher that inspired or supported you. Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody. Go ahead and come back to the presentation, the Zoom meeting. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the list. I did a very benign, I didn't have very deep questions. I mean, I don't really know you, so I don't have those connections with you yet. So I didn't want to pursue anything that we'd stay here and we'd miss the rest of Google Camp because now we have this big discussion going. But I want to show you the list of questions that I would give to my students. And you don't have to use all these questions that are in this resource document. You can add your own questions and you may take some out. Some of them are fairly lighthearted. You just like I started with us, you're the oldest child in the family, born in California, visited another country. But as you go down the list, you can see that there's more serious questions. I get down to the bottom. You feel safe in your neighborhood. You've ever been in a fight. You feel stressed. You've been bullied or you've bullied someone. So there's a lot of good questions to pull from. You don't necessarily have to use all these. And so I put the tips down there for you to remind yourself what to do when you're doing this particular activity. Okay, so remember that after the activity, you always should set aside some time for a reflective piece for your students so that they can just answer questions, decompress, think about what they learned. So for this particular activity, I'm using Padlet. So don't drop the link just yet. Let me get out of here. Well, go ahead and drop the link to Padlet for me, Elizabeth. See if she does it. If not, I can do it.
Yeah, it's not coming up.
Okay, no worries. I'll do it here. Well, let me just go to it. Let me show you first my group. Can you guys see the Padlet on my screen? Just want to know, yes or no? Somebody say it, because I don't know.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so if you've never used Padlet before, I'm not here to teach you how to use it, but it's very easy to use. And you can just Google it, Padlet, and it'll come up, and you can create questions and have the students answer as they come underneath the different questions here. So this is the reflective questions that I've created for this particular activity that I would give my students. So the students would come on here. In order to answer the question, they would hit the plus right underneath the question, and they would type their response. So the first one is describe how you felt when you moved your sticky note into the circle. I was nervous, wondering if anyone else would do it. and then hit enter. So for you, I have set up this Padlet. Let me see, I can.
I put it in there, Miss Pales.
Oh, perfect. Okay, thank you. I was about to do it. So for you, you would come on to this Padlet. They're all anonymous, which is good. So, you know, the students still have some privacy with regards to how they're feeling, but they can see how other students are responding to the questions. All I want you to do is you can answer any of those 5 prompts, but I would really like for you to answer, is this an activity you think you might want to do with your students? So I'm approving people as it comes in. I won't delete the people who say no. So when you're on Padlet, a really cool thing you can do is you can choose to approve posts. If you teach high school or middle school, you know some students want to come on and be funny and use special words. So in this way, you have some control over what the students see. So we'll keep going for about another minute or so. So I'll let you guys respond. Okay, some people are still responding, so I'll give about 1 more minute. All right, so go ahead and wrap it up if you want to do any more. And you can also like responses. So I can see some teachers have already liked other responses. I like that one about a lot of us had flip phones. I wonder if a lot of teachers are the oldest child. So bossy. I know I'm the oldest. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I love this one teacher's comment. I think this is a great activity to use for SEL without students feeling exposed. And so, yeah, maybe getting up and moving onto the line in the classroom might be too much for some students. And so you can do this activity in the classroom with the students at their desk, on their Chromebook or on their iPad, whatever device you're using in the classroom. So it's a really nice alternative instead of having everybody stand up. Because, you know, a lot of our students might not be comfortable right away coming back and doing something like this. Now, you could take this activity and do it at the beginning, I suppose, by having those lighthearted questions just to see commonalities that students have. But just be careful with the questions that you pick. And the reason I say this, I'll give a personal, it's an experience of my son. So my son started college and they did an activity like this for freshman orientation. And they asked some deep questions. The kids don't even know each other. And they just left it at that. And he felt really uncomfortable with some of the questions that were being asked. It's like, why am I going to tell anybody this about me? And I don't even know who they are. So just really think about the questions that you want to pose to your students when you do this activity. Okay, that's where we're at. Okay, so results in my classroom. The student connections increased. They became more at ease with each other. Really what happened that students were more willing to approach me and share things about themselves. So I learned a lot more about my students. And all the time, they wanted to do the experience again. They're like, hey, can we play that line game again? They want to do it. They want to do it. They want to just learn about everybody else. And so of course I never did. I just did it one time, but they really liked it, the students that participated in it. Okay, so what about you and your classrooms? So, you know, how do you think you might see yourself using this in your classroom? And does anyone have any reservations about this activity? You know, in the chat. Oh, I like, someone said it's a great activity. In the classroom, you could also have each student add a picture of themselves rather than initial. Yep. Okay, so if you have, oh, here we go. So on the Jamboard activity for the younger kids still learning, the mouse or trackpad, you can place a transparent rectangle over the whole Jamboard and make it less likely for them to move the circle. Oh yeah, you can do that. Yeah, that is an option. Okay, please continue to add questions to the chat. I can remain after the session if anybody has questions about the activity. I just want to show you the links to the resources that I have here. I did a prepared Jamboards and line games, so it forces a copy for you. A link to the Freedom Writers Teacher's Guide, the list of the questions that I showed you earlier. And at the end, I'm going to show you really quick a present for all of you, link to other Jamboard activities and how to use Jamboard. But before we end, I wanted to just wrap up. For this activity, I use it in my AVID class. I do not use it in my content area classes, like my biology or anatomy and physiology classes. I just use it for AVID. So if you teach AVID or you have ASB or your peer leadership or link crew or some club on campus, or if you're a coach, you coach a sport, those might be the students that you might want to do that particular activity with, especially if you're going to go into deeper questions. Maybe before a Socratic seminar, you might want to set something up like this. So it leads you into a topic for a Socratic seminar. Let me just show you quickly the link to other Jamboard activities. So this is a present from our district. We have 3 teachers that have created this Jamboard Google slide deck, and you can peruse it at your own leisure. There are so many good activities and ways to use Jamboard in your classes. And you can do it, of course, it doesn't have to be virtual. It can be within the class itself. On many of the slides, we have a get the template. So if you're doing a 4 corners activity where you have the agree, strongly agree, disagree, strongly disagree, the template is already created for you. It forces you to make a copy. It's going. And then all you would need to do is share it with your students, give them the editing rights, and then they just create their sticky notes and they can move their sticky note into the corner that goes along with the agree or disagree statement. Let's go back here. Wonderful ways to use it, doing class polls, doing a pro and con session in your class. They can learn how to draw ovals around areas. You can do vocabulary, sorting and classifying. This particular slide deck has about 30+ slides, so I'm not going to go through all of them, but please feel free to use any of them in your classes. Try them out. And I always like to try out new things and ask my students if they like that particular activity and get some feedback from them, because sometimes I throw stuff away. So that is for you. All right, so thank you everybody for participating. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. I will answer any questions that you might have. I enjoyed having everybody here. Thank you for being patient with me. And enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you so much, Diane. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Again, if you have any questions, right now you have a few minutes before we close the session, or you can just go ahead and reach out to her. Diane, if you would like to put your contact information, if you'd like, there's no obligation, but if you'd like people to reach out to you, you're more than welcome to put that, okay? And again, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. We hope you are enjoying Google Camp 2021. Hopefully, we will be able to do in-person conferences soon. Thank you.
All right.
Ms. Pales,
Yeah.
how many questions do you usually ask, or how long do you usually dedicate for that activity?
That's a good question. So I ask probably about 15 questions, and I don't go longer than 15 or 20 minutes. Very short. Good question. Thank you. Anybody else have any questions? I feel like I'm in my Zoom, my Google Meet, with the students. All right. Okay. How'd it go, Elizabeth? Give me your feedback.
I felt that it went really well.
Mhm.
They participated. I enjoyed, watching them and things like that. So it was a lot of stuff in a little bit of time, but it was all I liked it. You did
Okay,
great.
good. Good.
You
I
did
know
good.
some of the sessions have been a little like jam-packed, and I wanted to make sure I got everything and didn't feel rushed.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yay, thanks, Elizabeth, for helping me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. I don't feel like I did a heck of a whole lot, but I enjoyed it.
I think just having you there made me feel better.
Okay. You
All
only
right.
do this only once today, huh?
Just one. Just one.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
All right. Thanks. I'll see you later.
Okay. Bye.
Great. Bye.
Bye. Have a great day.
Bye. Bye, Aranza.